So if everything is going well, you are now seeing me and hearing me as well on the various channels that I set up. Simultaneously on my personal account on Facebook, on my official Facebook page, on YouTube, in my YouTube channel, and on Twitter. So it is hard for me to make sure that everything is working, and maybe I am just speaking into the void. But sooner or later, I will receive some feedback from you. The camera I have in front of me is zoomed very tight, but actually I am surrounded by various gizmos, and maybe I can show you a few of them if I can correctly turn around the camera with its remote control. I have an iPad to help me here, and I have a couple of phones to help me over there. But actually, we will also be talking about what the setup is and why I am surrounded by all these gadgets. We are going to talk about many different things. And as I go on this new live streaming adventure together with you, I hope that you will also tell me what you would like us to talk about. Whenever you see this bookshelf behind me, you know that I am in my home in Italy. And these days, this is pretty poignant. We will talk about that as well. So let me show you, sharing my screen or a portion of my screen with a few slides that I just created for the occasion, what my plan is. I am planning to go live at 7 p.m. CET, if possible, every day. And until there is an hour shift for daylight savings to kick in Europe as well, this corresponds to 2 p.m. ET and 11 a.m. Pacific time, unless I made a mistake in the calculations. And you will correct me, I'm sure. Now, live streaming is completely new for me, and I am sure that I will be making a gazillion mistakes, and we will laugh about them. You will correct me, I will improve. I believe that making these mistakes these days is important. A little more than a year ago, I started another adventure, creating a weekly episode of a video series, The Context, that is now in its second season, and over 30 episodes cover a lot of different topics. The goal of The Context is to give a deeper and broader understanding of what is going on in the world, keys for interpreting it, and as a consequence, feeling less powerless, more empowered. The objectives of the live stream here are a little bit different. Of course, the daily rhythm imposes that. I won't have the chance of thinking as deeply as I do on a weekly rhythm with the context. Every day, I will come up with what we can talk about. But that is why it is so important to have an interaction together, because I will rely on you also to tell me what you would like to talk about. One of the reasons why I want to live stream is because it is a kind of medium that I have never tried, and I like to experiment. I like to go out and try new things. Today is day zero, the presentation of this new project, of this new adventure. Day one, tomorrow, we'll talk about the tools, the software, the hardware, the setup, how I do what I do. And once again, this is just what I thought could work. And you will tell me whether you have a different experience. And there will be a lot of things that I will want to test. For example, if the sharing of the screen is the right way, or we should use a green screen. Behind me, on the floor, there is already a green screen available. I have to pay attention not to stand up because as it is, I think, necessary, the uniform of anybody live streaming from their home is that they wear a pajama if everything goes well. So I'm conforming to that custom. But you see, here is the green screen already, and we will be setting it up, and we will play around. For example, rather than having the slides hiding me, like it is happening on the screen share now, at least I think, we will be having the slides behind me, and I will be like a weatherman. Or is it a weather person now? So this is what is going to be, for example, one of the experiments. Another of the experiments is going to be to use a gimbal. Let me see if I can turn it on the fly. And the gimbal is going to help us. Hello. It doesn't like it right now. It doesn't want to turn on or do it the way that it should be doing it. The gimbal will enable me to have a second camera and show you around a little bit, go closer to the tools, zoom in on some things, and so on. So both hardware and software, because the software setup here is kind of complicated, not too difficult, but there are quite a few pieces. Of course, the output, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and there could be many others. You tell me, should I be streaming on Twitch or Steam or Kakao? By the way, Kakao is popular in South Korea, very popular. There's Kakao everything, Kakao Chat, Kakao Map, and so on. But of course, it is mostly used by the locals, just like VK, VKontakte in Russia. And I'm using a service that enables me to target any of these platforms. The timing of the live stream as is today is not very compatible with the Far East because they should be sleeping. It is something like 2 a.m. in the morning at theirs now. And well, maybe I will come up with an early morning live stream for Europe, targeting Far East further on. We'll see. So back to the plan. Day one, talk about the tools, hardware, software, and so on. Day two is going to talk about my first person experience with the epidemic that we are living. Given that Bergamo is the epicenter today, after the epicenter moving from China that successfully contained, or well, rather than contained, because we got it, if they could contain it, we wouldn't get it. Anyway, China was able to impose extremely severe restrictions on the movement of people that reduced the infection rate to the point where they are now restarting their industries and their businesses. But now the brunt of the epidemic is right here in Bergamo, in Italy. And it will be hard to be upbeat about it. People who live stream like to be smiling and like to send positive messages, share powerful knowledge. And yes, this knowledge hopefully will empower people to avoid a lot of mistakes that they are making. But it is not going to be joyful. It is not going to be with smiles. Maybe I will be weeping. Be ready. And I hope it is not going to go for months on end. Not only because I wouldn't have all that to say, but also because you and I all together will be able to overcome at least this current pandemic and then rapidly learn and leverage our learning to be able to address the next one, whether it is in 1 year or 10 years, much better. Day 3 is going to be dedicated to various kinds of technologies, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, all of the various pillars of network society that I have been talking about for many years now. And these are technologies that are characterized by an increasing rate of acceleration. Ray Kurzweil, Peter Diamandis, Salim Ismail, and many other colleagues of mine at Singularity University have been talking about exponential technologies that have a constant rate of acceleration for years. Some of them, like Ray, for all of his life. But there is a paradigm shift, and this paradigm shift is now looking at technologies whose acceleration is not constant. It is looking at technologies whose acceleration is increasing. And I call these jolting technologies because that is the name in mathematics of the first derivative of acceleration, the jolt. So the rhythm of the live stream is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 1, day 2, day 3, until you and I agree that we should change it. And then it will be maybe day 4. As you see, I have quite a few books. And as a matter of fact, there are books on that wall. There are books on the wall behind the camera, literally covering the room, except on one side, which leads out to an area with 3D printers and Bitcoin miners and gaming consoles and VR setup and indoor gardening, vertical farming, and all kinds of experiments that we like to run in order to understand and get our hands dirty, because I believe it is dangerous and almost impossible to be serious about stuff that you imagine, but that you never even tried. Now, maybe I will talk about traveling into the stars, or even more modestly, just to be in space in orbit. And admittedly, I didn't do one or the other. So I will break my own rule of talking about things that I did and I got my hands dirty with, but as much as I can. I will try and stick to that. I believe it is very healthy. Now, I will now look around a little bit because I am actually curious. Are we live? Is this thing working? I don't know. Let me take a look. Where could I look? Yeah, Twitter says that I am streaming live. And so let's look at Facebook. You know, the monitor, the software monitor, should also tell me about the health of the stream, and it says it is sending information at 30 frames a second, and it says that the bit rate is a healthy 3 megabit per second. So it looks all good. Let's look at the analytics. And I am a little bit afraid clicking around here because I don't want to break the setup. You know, something crashes and everything was working, and just because I wanted to look at the analytics, I break it. Well, it looks that it is working. Now, when I end the session, I will be able to look back, and I will be able to see how everything is working, and establish what kind of mistakes I made and what to do better already tomorrow. It is going to be really funny. It is a rhythm that I have never tried to keep when producing any kind of content. Now, once again, for me, it will be crucial to be able to interact with you. And of course, I didn't start a huge campaign alerting my followers, hey, I am starting to stream live in a week or in a month, be ready. That would have made sure that this day zero would have gotten 20, 30, or 200, or I don't know, whatever the number, greater than it does have now, viewers. And then those viewers could have been alerted beforehand to start interacting with me. Well, luckily that doesn't happen, because as of right now, I wouldn't be able, because I didn't configure the appropriate software to monitor the chat and to answer questions or follow inputs or do, you know, whatever a good host of a live show does in order to interact with an audience that is not physically there. By the way, you may have noticed the heartbreaking and painful adaptation of Colbert and all the other live shows, late night shows in the US, as their schedules have been completely disrupted, and either they tried to perform without an audience, or they are now recording things, in the case of Colbert, from his bathtub or from the park. And it is interesting, to say the least. So I will keep insisting to hear from you, and I will ask, send me questions. I will ask to send me things to talk about. I will ask to participate in polls, to do things that we may come up with that can be funny or make us learn things, hopefully, because I am not an entertainer. the goal here is not going to be to make you laugh on purpose. Maybe I will succeed to make you laugh, even if I didn't want to make you laugh because I'm just silly or make funny mistakes. But I'm not a comedian, and I don't have the skill or the experience of writing and delivering jokes. Who knows? Maybe that is where you want me to go, and I will have fun going there. And whatever the place that we get to will be a nice place, and we want to stay there and explore. How is it to have David become a comedian? Not likely, but not zero probability. In the meantime, though, what I want you and I to keep doing is to learn, to make experiences and experiments and make mistakes and learn and share that knowledge. Now, some of you may know that I have a Patreon page where really the point is to give the opportunity to people who appreciate my desire and effort to generate and share this content to express that. And yeah, anybody could send me a postcard or an email or a tweet, and I will appreciate that for sure. But supporting a content creator on Patreon is more than that kind of appreciation. It is actually still in our socioeconomic organization a way to be very concrete about it and actionable, because the creators that you support will take the money that you pledge month after month to give them and improve what they do. They will buy new equipment. They will be able to pay somebody to be better in a post-production environment with new special effects or things like that. Or in some cases, they will pay rent and feed their family. So it is really, I think, a good way to say, I like what you do. I want you to keep doing it, and I want to support you in doing what you do. I am also a supporter, a patron to several people online, and we can talk about that as well, why I chose those and not others, and which are the ones that you are supporting. And then if you come back and watch the live stream and you grow accustomed to do the dishes or to do whatever else while you are listening to me talking about what I talk about, you can decide to become a patron of David Orban on Patreon. This has already been an option for some time for those who discovered and appreciated the context, and I am offering it to you as well. The rate that I set is $5 per month, but you can set your own rate. You can say, I only want to pay $1, or I want to pay $10. I will be introducing new layers for patrons that appreciate and want to contribute to my ability to create this content with higher tiers. And I believe, and I want your input here, that the reward for those higher tiers should be more focused attention. Because yes, I will be able to read your questions and intertwine my own thoughts with what the answers are to those questions, and then I will shape the future live stream episodes with you. But that kind of interactivity is a little bit, I wouldn't say it's shallow, because it has certainly value, but the rhythm of that interactivity is not the kind that I have in mind. I don't know exactly what I want to do with these rewards, of how to make that interaction correspond to a value that is given back to patrons that support the creator at a higher tier. You know, if I were to do live meetings, I would say, well, you can sit closer, or we can have an off meeting drink up, where we have a beer together, and those who are the higher tier supporters get to do that, or other things. But not now. That is not what is possible today. I am not participating in conferences. I am not traveling and organizing meetups. I am sitting tight, as should you. And I hope that you have a nice place like I do. I hope that you can enjoy the company of your family members, your partner, your children, or your parents, whoever you are with, or if you prefer to be on your own, you enjoy being on your own, reading or listening to music, and that you can ride out this period without putting your health in peril and without endangering others by becoming a source and a vector of this contagion that is changing our lives. Now, one thing that I will not do is drag out these meetings. And I am not going to try and fill in the void of my own thoughts or of the minutes, just because I set a given amount of time. And I said we should be doing this for an hour, and I just keep talking, even if I don't have an hour's worth of things to say. And I believe that for this kind of introduction, we are starting to get to the end. And I want to thank those of you who listened and watched this live. And I want to invite those who couldn't to watch it recorded, which they by definition did, if they are hearing these words, since it is unlikely that they just jumped ahead for the last few minutes. If they are here, it means they watched it all. And I want to see how it went and how it is going to go. I had fun in this first, or actually 0th episode of Searching for the Question streaming live. And I am now going to stop the stream, and I will go and see if what I did for the past half an hour actually reached the internet. If my software, hardware setup was working, and those of you who chose with the kind of 20 minutes advance notice that you had to come and check it out, well, if you were able to do so. And if everything worked, I will be surprised. But maybe, you never know. And with whatever changes I will be making between today and tomorrow, I will see you tomorrow for episode 1 of Searching for the Question live. here on the internets, here in year 2020, the third decade of the third millennium. Thank you. Thank you very much.